I've heard a lot of you talk about the Leatherman Crunch. Leatherman should really bring back the crunch. That is something that a lot of you have talked about an awful lot. And I agree, that is something I would love to see Leatherman do. Now, this is a mod someone kindly sent to the channel, but the Leatherman Crunch is a really cool multi-tool that collapses so easily. It becomes very, very pocketable and just a great tool. Now, a little while ago, I mentioned that there are some tools out there. Irwin has the last of this kind of vice grip multi-tool. And I mentioned I was going to get another version. So this is more of the blunt nose version, and I did a mod on this one, and I have a whole video talking about that. Now, this is the I guess you would say almost like the needle nose version that you can get as well. This is the 6LN. This one is a little bit bigger right here. This comes in, I'm assuming at 6 inches since it says 6LN. Yeah, it comes in more almost like 7, but this is a fairly large multi-tool, and then it has this bit driver in the handle that just wobbles around. It is a double-sided driver with the detent. I'm not a fan of this, and I'm not a fan of this knife either. This knife comes out the front. What do you do with that? I mean, you have these huge pliers. I guess it works, but it just seems really awkward. It does lock into place, and it does have serrations here, but it seems like a very odd design, and that's it. That's your multi-tool. You've got the bit driver, you've got the knife, and you've got the vice grips, and that's pretty much it. So that's unfortunate. This comes in around $30. They do seem to be disappearing from Amazon, maybe even. I've seen them a lot on eBay. It seems like different sites are discontinuing these. I'm not surprised because the design isn't that great. Again, I modded mine with some success, not extreme success. This still needs welded right here, but I did feel like this setup, if it could be made in a thinner package, is definitely more of what I would like on a tool like this. So let's enter some of the other tools that in the past have been Leatherman Crunch contenders, and then we'll get to the star of the show, the tool I really want to talk about tonight. So this is the Sheffield. This is essentially a copy of this tool. This is the Kershaw A100. I did review this a while back. I did a full video on it, but just to show you real quick, this does come with a bunch of tools right here. Pretty cool in the handle. A lot of tools, and then I believe there is a very rare adapter that you could use in the jaws as well. Pretty cool stuff. Now, let's get to the star of the show, and that will be this Schrade tool. Now, Schrade recently does not really conjure up images of greatness, but some time ago, Schrade was actually an American-made brand. And this one right here is the Vice Grip Toolbox. I believe this was made by Schrade. This is the 5WR. This right here is a really cool vice grip system that is truly a multi-tool. This right here has the 1/4 inch bit right here. I actually haven't tried this, but I wonder if this new version with a ball detent would actually work in here. Let's go ahead, try this out, and yes, it does. So the new one from Irwin actually fits right in there. You have this like that, and then that's pretty cool. It locks into place. Then you shove down on here, it locks into place 180 degrees, and then also locks into place at 90 degrees. It's amazing to me how really good tools there were even years ago. So a lot of times we think, oh, the tools we have today are the best that have ever been, and that's not always the case. Sometimes some of the best designs have been forgotten and set aside by people who think their designs are superior for whatever reason. Then there is the combo blade right here. This is very, very sharp, actually. I'm a little scared of this knife. Very, very sharp. It does have some serrations. I mean, it almost feels like a razor blade right there. And then there is this, which doubles as a wire stripper. Right here, we have a wire stripping notch. Very cool tool. Again, maybe it seems a little redundant with both of those knives, but I know they're supposed to serve different purposes. I think this is more for electrical right here, whether this would be, I don't know, for drywall or whatever you would be using it for. Again, this bit driver, I think, is very valuable because you'll notice right here it's locking, which I think is very important, especially if you have a really big tool like this. Why not make it locking? That just, to me, makes sense. Tighten this up a little bit, loosen it up a little bit. Let's see. There we go. We can lock that in place. Really cool tool. Now, this tool comes in at only 5.5 inches closed. Let's use my sort of inaccurate scales. It comes in at 207 grams, or it comes in at 7.3 ounces, which is pretty amazing to think that this right here is lighter than the Leatherman Wave. I know the Leatherman Wave is a lot more tools, but this does look very big and bulky, and it comes in, it's actually surprisingly light. Surprisingly light tool, 1/4 inch bit driver, a couple knives, and your vice grips. Now, why do I give this tool such a hard time, besides it falling apart on me? Well, it's just because it feels so cheap. It's hard to describe how this one right here just feels a lot cheaper than this one. The knife seems to be done wrong. The bit driver seems to be done wrong. I don't understand how Irwin felt like they had to reinvent the wheel when the wheel was already invented and this isn't even in production. I don't quite understand that. But unfortunately, this one right here ends up being not a very good copy. I really, really hope someone in the multi-tool world fixes this and comes out with a better vice grip option. Since we're talking about vice grips, I thought it'd be fun just to include this one in here. This is a gigantic one that I ran across, and it is very ridiculous, but it takes ridiculous to a new sense. It comes in at almost, well, about 9 inches long. I was going to say 10 inches, but it's a little bit shorter than that. But this is absolutely huge. Here's a Leatherman Crunch, and here's this one. That's ridiculous. Now, we don't need anything that size in the multi-tool world, but I do wish that we could get a Leatherman Crunch that would be not a Leatherman Crunch, a vice grip multi-tool that would be very compact and would bring back some of the quality feel, something that would be even just okay. I'm okay with some of these Wave clones or some of like the adjustable screwdriver from Nextool. I'm okay with something that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I would really like there to be an a vice grip multi-tool option that fills the gap for Leatherman. Now, will Leatherman ever make the Crunch again? I don't know. I would say probably not. I feel like Leatherman, if they ever would probably make it a limited run, would only make 5,000 copies, and they'd be gone within about 5 minutes. I think Leatherman is going to really corral the market with 4-inch and 4.5-inch frame size multi-tools. I think that's what they're after, that are just normal, that have a lot of interest. I think Leatherman, to some extent, is done with some of these not off the wall stuff, but stuff that not everyone is interested in. I think Leatherman is going after crowd, what appeals to the crowd. And so I think anything off the wall or off the beat, off the trail a little bit might be in the Leatherman garage. Well, let me know what you think. Have you found any other better option vice grip wise to these tools. I know there's a couple other tools out there. I don't have all of them yet, but I'd be interested to see what your favorite vice grip multi-tool is, or if you just EDC a regular 5-inch vice grip multi-tool and then use some other tools besides. Let me know in the comments below.